Have you ever wanted to start a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily and then distribute it everywhere and even earn money doing what you love. All in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit episodes right from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Now, what's really cool is video podcasts are also now available on Spotify. And if you want to be taken seriously on social media, you need to have a video presence. And what better way to do that by connecting with people via your video episodes? With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's all totally free with no catch whatsoever. And ever since we discovered Spotify for Podcasters here on Cut the Crap with Beth and Matt, we are easily releasing new episodes and distributing them to multiple platforms, and it's never been easier. We highly recommend you give it a try. You can download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started.
We're there to spend time with them and to cherish those memories, build memories, relive old memories. We're not there to beat ourselves up. We're not there to feel guilty.
I think that's the key is that we just want you guys to realize that it's okay to enjoy yourself on Thanksgiving. Like you're not going to ruin all your progress. No need to be sitting at the table fearing eating anything and no feeling guilty. Like what does that do? That does nothing.
Yeah.
Move on.
So those feelings of guilt then too, that stems from everything we've pretty much talked about, right? You get those feelings of guilt because you have those food rules, because you're practicing those restrictions, because you're saying good foods, bad foods. When you label food as bad and then you eat that food, you're a bad person and now you're guilty. So it's all about having that healthy relationship with food. It truly is.
Really
and it all
is.
starts
It really
up here.
is. Once you have that, it's truly life-changing.
Welcome to Cut the Crap with Beth and Matt, the world's #1 no bullshit health and fitness podcast.
Are you ready to cut the crap with your diet and exercise, get strong as fuck, and build a healthy relationship with food? Then you've come to the right place.
Let's go. If you'd like to support us in the podcast, join our Patreon where you get exclusive content, which consists of monthly workouts you can do at home or at the gym, monthly challenges that are either strength, habit, or mindset based, and access to over 100 plus low-calorie, high-protein, family-friendly meals. These are all designed by a professional chef who is certified in nutrition. These recipes are already in MyFitnessPal for easy fucking tracking. New recipes are also added each week.
We believe that fitness is for everyone, so this is our way of getting you started on your health and fitness journey at a price most everyone can afford. So what the fuck are you waiting for? We'll see you in the Patreon. What's up, you fucking nerdle, Beth? Let's get into this.
What's up, dirty bitches?
All right, so we are going to do something new this week. We are revisiting an old episode. And the reason being because this episode is very timely and it's still important. And what is that we're talking about, Beth?
The holidays, and what happens with food and family and eating around the holidays, right? Everyone has a fucking Aunt Nancy at the table. We don't need her.
You don't need negative Nancy's in our life this year.
You don't need negative Nancy.
So this episode, while it's a year old, we're going to replay it because first of all, we have bigger audience and new people listening. So we want to get this message out there. So people can understand that, first of all, you're not fucking in this alone. Okay. Everybody deals with this bullshit. We're here to help you, equip you with the tools that you need to navigate the holidays, navigate all the food that's around during the holidays, and navigate those friends and family members, which are oftentimes very fucking triggering for us. And then we start eating like an asshole because of that.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about managing your emotions, setting boundaries with friends and family, and how you can still eat your favorite foods. And yes, boundaries are so important during this journey. So how we can eat our favorite foods, Thanksgiving stuffing, turkey, all that good shit, and still, hit our health and fitness goals and be healthy.
Exactly.
This stuff doesn't change. These ideas don't change. These theories don't change. Okay. So that's why we're going to replay this episode. Everybody needs to hear it. We can always use the reminder. I know Beth and myself, we need frequent reminders for some things like this as well.
Yeah. So take a listen. Let us know what you think and have a great Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Let's get into this.
All right.
All right, Beth.
All right, Matt. What's happening?
The topic for today is eating around the holidays and eating during the holidays. Not specifically Thanksgiving, but of course, Thanksgiving is included in that because we do have friends overseas, of course. So let's talk about eating around the holidays, how to manage eating around the holidays, especially when it comes to like diet talk and and setting boundaries and people talking about your fucking body like it's any of their business, things like that.
Right.
Let's talk about it. Let's get into the details.
Yeah, let's get into, like the holidays are the holidays, right? Thanksgiving is one day, Christmas is one day, New Year's is one day. But I think people tend to take the Thanksgiving and go batshit until New Year's. Like almost like letting it be the excuse, oh, I'm going to start whatever.
I'll start New Year's. That's not good, right? That's a recipe for disaster.
No. Yeah, exactly.
And because there's no even if you're not started yet, like you could start now and you could start doing amazing things, right? You could start getting stronger. You could start working on your mobility. You could start improving your health. Just because it's that time of year where there's candy around and chocolates and gravy and stuffing and cranberry sauce doesn't mean we can't still take care of ourselves in the meantime.
Right. I think it has to do with the all or nothing mentality.
It does, which we are here to fucking throw that out the window. Like, that's what's holding a lot of people back too, is the all or nothing mindset when it comes to health and fitness and nutrition. But it's not black and white. There's grays, there's reds, there's purples, there's everything. So what the fuck? I think the one thing I always that I'm telling people right away, we are not worried about weight loss on Thanksgiving. We are not worried about weight loss on Christmas. That's the biggest thing. What are the holidays for? Especially now in our current environment, right? A lot of people didn't even get to celebrate these holidays last year because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So why are we going to go and take something that we missed out on last year with spending time with friends and family and put added stress onto it about worrying about our fucking calories, right? So let's stop that right there.
Yeah.
Like I said the other day in our TikTok live, I will personally buy a plane ticket, find out where you live, and come kick you in the ass if I find out you're counting calories on Thanksgiving.
Oh my God, seriously, yeah. Don't even weigh yourself the next day. Seriously, don't weigh yourself. I told all my clients, I sent them an email. I'm like, listen, do not count calories on Thanksgiving and do not weigh yourself the next day. It's going to be up.
It's going to be up. We can guarantee that. And why is that?
Salt, more food content, water, carbs, you name it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I did not personally take that advice, but I know what I'm doing, right? I do these things so I can relate these things to other people. So I was up 7 pounds from Saturday to Sunday. Guess what? Today is Monday. I'm back down to where I was before. But that doesn't mean that people should go weigh themselves. They shouldn't. But we know we're going to be holding on to water weight. We know we're going to be bloated. We know we're going to probably be having some poops going on,
Yeah.
So let's...
And that could be their one reason to be say, fuck it, right? Because they're like, oh my God,
that could completely
the scale went up. I just ruined everything on Thanksgiving. So I'm just going to keep going. Bring the Christmas cookies.
For sure. And so you mentioned how, Thanksgiving is one day, Christmas is one day, New Year's is one day. But let's look at it this way. The way I was running some numbers before this podcast, let's give those days 5 days. So let's give 2 days for Thanksgiving, 2 days for Christmas, and 1 day for New Year's. When this podcast comes out, we're going to release this podcast on Wednesday. There will be 37 days left in the year. Okay.
Yeah.
5 days out of those 37 days, if you do what you're supposed to do those other 32 days of those 37 days, that's 86% consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Which, as we know, and as we talk about all the time, 80% consistency is what we should be striving for.
Right.
So
you still have a little leeway in there.
You do. You absolutely have a little leeway. So you haven't ruined anything by enjoying yourself. Remember, we're here to have a healthy relationship with food and exercise. So let's talk about some things we're not going to do then in terms of exercise and things like that. So what are we going to do and what are we not going to do? So I'll start with what are we going to do? We will just get back to our normal routine, whatever that may look like for you. For me, my daily routine, my morning routine is I wake up, I get some coffee, I go on my walk with my dog, and then I usually try to get a workout in or I'll do some work, things like that. So since it was Sunday, I wasn't working. So I woke up, I had some coffee, went on my walk, made a nice little breakfast, just like I normally would. I didn't cut out any foods. I didn't skip out on carbs or anything. I had a bagel with 2 eggs. I had excited cottage cheese. I had some mushrooms and spinach. I had a nice nutritious breakfast full of protein, fiber, just like I normally would. So I got back on track, right?
Yeah.
So then what are some things that I didn't do? What are some things that we should not do then after a holiday or even after just going off the deep end a little bit?
Starve yourself the next day.
Right.
And that you're not going to try to exercise or over exercise because you think that you need to, burn off the meal or your day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. First of all, that's not possible. You're going to be bringing in thousands of calories of extra food on Thanksgiving. Right. It is literally impossible for you to burn that off via exercise. Exercise is a very shit way of burning calories, and that's not why we exercise, right? Me, for instance. So I had deadlifts was my next workout in the routine. And I felt amazing for that. Like I didn't go into that workout like, oh my God, I got to work off all this food, but I did have a lot more carbs. So I had a lot more bigger energy storage reserves, right? Which definitely benefited me in my workout. I was stronger. I had more energy. My muscles were fuller because there's a lot of more water retention. Use that to your advantage if you want.
Yeah.
But also then, like, what about leading up to Thanksgiving? What are some things that we should not be doing? Because people might be tempted to severely cut calories or skip meals or do extra cardio to earn those calories. We're not going to do that, right?
Yeah. Just like be like stick to your regularly scheduled program, have your good habits lead up to that day. And then you continue on with your good habits after that day.
Because it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle.
That's the thing. You're building a lifestyle that you can stick to. And it's not what we do from November to January. It's what we do from January to November that really makes the biggest difference.
Exactly. It's all encompassing. That's that lifestyle change that we're after. Mm-hmm. Beautifully said. So then what some other things that people struggle with on the holidays are a lot of family interactions, right? So
I think a lot of like food pushers, there's body shamers, food pushers, toxic, I made the video of like, and I've heard it like, do you really think you should be eating that? Or do you look at, she's put on some weight. It's like, there's always it's always like the aunt or the older, generation. Right. And, what they don't really realize is they can literally trigger someone for their entire fucking life. Like whatever they say, that person may remember that for years to come.
Yeah,
I think
that's very
people
true.
Don't realize like what they say has a profound effect on the people.
Yeah, absolutely. And so then that goes into, first of all, accepting the fact that might happen, right? So we need to accept. Right. We need to accept that. We can't control others. We can control our reactions to others, and we can try to, like if we have a family member that we know is notorious for this, notorious for diet talk or talking about our body, we can start setting those expectations up ahead of time. We can gradually in conversations, text message conversations, things like that, let them know, that you're working on your mindset and your mental health and everything, and those type of comments do more harm than good. Yeah. Or if they insist, like when they bring it up, if grandma gets offended because you don't want, like maybe you've had enough, maybe you've eaten enough and you're just physically uncomfortable if you were to eat more. But grandmas, they can be like, oh, they get offended if you don't eat more. Like, grandma, thank you, like I truly appreciate it, but I would not feel well physically if I ate more food. So I can't. Yeah. But what I would love to do is, can you pack me up some to go in a box, right? Like I would love to take some home. Thanksgiving leftovers are fucking better than the original.
Oh my God, they're my favorite. Yeah. So
I had a cold turkey sandwich yesterday and it was amazing. Yeah.
Yum. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely. And then of course we have, diet talk. So people are always going to be talking about our diets, keto, especially like will probably be a big one, or carnivore or something, and Aunt Karen might be talking about how great keto is and how it's making her feel good. But you know what? This is the time of the year we don't talk about talk about religion, we don't talk about politics, and we don't talk about diets at the dinner table.
Jesus Christ.
So those are the three rules, right? So we can lay that up front with it's about setting boundaries with our family members and friends. So I don't think this is the best time to talk about that. Or it could go like just acknowledge what they've said. Like, Aunt Karen, I'm so glad that keto is working for you and you found a community that accepts you and that you're able to be successful with. But like, let's talk about your job, or let's talk about cousin Billy or something, So accept, but then change the subject as soon as possible.
Yeah, really. Exactly.
Because if you don't accept, I would personally want to fight back against the keto thing, right? But like, that's not the time or the place. So understanding sometimes that's not the time or the place.
You're like, you know what? Okay, that's great. I'm glad to hear you're happy. That's amazing. So anyway,
put your ego aside. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Onward and upward.
Because Aunt Karen's going to want to go into a fucking keto portal hole. That's just what happens. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I find that when people like get obsessed with like a diet, they just don't want to stop talking about it.
That's their
So you
personality
kind
at
of
that
have
point.
to hit it before it gets to the point of no return.
Nip it in the bud. Yeah,
right,
sure,
right.
Sure. Yeah. So then we deal with things like the body, body comments. So how would you handle family members that insist on talking about our body? Maybe it's that we lost weight, or maybe that's we've gained weight. Not everybody wants those comments. Some people do like those comments, but most people don't, especially the negative comments. So how would you suggest we handle that?
That's a good question. What would you say? What would I say to someone if said, you've put on some weight?
Yeah.
What do you say to that? At first, you kind of go into like a little bit of a shock, because it's like,
right. Like,
everyone knows if they put on their weight, they know they have. It's like, why do you have to fucking say something about it? Right. I think just, saying, I really don't think I'd really want to talk about that right now. It's something, or you could say, I'm working on myself, or, that's a tough one because coming from me, I'd be.
Yeah. How would you handle it? Let's start there.
I would be like, you know what? I would just probably say, just stop talking.
Mind your fucking business.
I already fucking know. Like, thank you. Let's just talk about something else. All right. I don't know. Yeah. Depending on who it was.
There's lots of ways you can handle it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways you can handle it. Some people, now this isn't I would not recommend doing this, but some people want to give, they want to give it back. Right. So also like I've noticed you gained some weight too. That's not the right way to do it, because that just makes it a toxic environment and it escalates things. But what I would recommend is saying something like, what I do with my body is up to me. Like, this is my body. I don't judge you for what you do with your body. But also, like, how would you feel if I made those comments towards you, right? Like, honestly, it's going back to fucking elementary school. Like, if you want to hear it yourself, then don't say it. It goes back to that. So finding that way of putting it that way is key. Yeah.
And then almost realizing that there's more something about them that's going on with them than about you.
Right. Why, it's not you.
Why would someone need to body shame someone to that extent? That means they're unhappy with themselves. So they have to make someone else feel worse than they are.
Yep. When they're saying these things and putting you down, whether intentionally or not, they're projecting in a way. So they're not happy with where they're at with it. Maybe it's with their body, or maybe they're stressed. Maybe they're having a bad day or whatever. Right. But it's not a reflection of you when they say these things. So let's start there. That's a great way of putting it. It's not that you haven't done anything wrong. It's not you. It's them. So we reframe that train of thought then right away then too.
Exactly.
Lovely. What about the family members that just don't listen to our boundaries, that insist on continuing to do these things, even after we've told them and made it perfectly clear to them that your comments and your actions are unwanted?
That's a good question. I think then at that point, it takes some serious action. You never know. You might have to leave the party, if it comes down to that.
Boundaries are hard because enforcing boundaries is incredibly fucking difficult because that makes you feel bad. But if somebody pushes back against your boundaries, they do not respect you, flat out. I don't care if this is your own mother and father. They do not respect you if they are pushing back on your boundaries because they can no longer take advantage of you when you set boundaries with them. So now they're having that clap back. We see that all a lot in narcissists and things like that. It's not a healthy relationship. This time of year, it might not be the thing you want to hear, but it's the thing you need to hear. If you have set your boundary and you've made it perfectly clear what your boundaries are, and people insist on pushing the boundary, they don't care about you. They do not respect you. I'm sorry, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
And that can go a long way then in helping you repair that relationship too, because then it becomes, do they realize they're pushing back on the boundaries, or do they just not care that they're pushing back on the boundaries? So then that kind of gives you that awareness too.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Have you dealt with anything like that?
No, not to that extent.
No? Do you have clients that struggle with setting boundaries?
I think it's just they don't know how to start the conversation, really.
Okay.
Communication is key. I think people have a hard time communicating. Like, try not to be silent and let them get away with it, because then they'll keep doing it. I think that's another thing. I think people just don't like to have those tough conversations, and they just let people get away with that shit. But for me, like, I think it's important to, like you said, set boundaries and stick to them. And that goes like when you're like, let's say in a weight loss journey, right? And you want support at home. You have to have, without the communication with your spouse or whoever's living in the house, you all have to be on the same page. So I guess that's where I'm going with that.
Yeah, you said that beautifully. How do you prepare them for that conversation then? I mean, because that's not an easy conversation to have, right?
Yeah, just like, okay, this is important to me and I really want you to know what I'm going through right now. Like, can you please not bring this home or force me to do that? I'm asking you to do this for me right now. You really just need to say, this is important to me.
And that's really, you shouldn't have to explain yourself any more than that. Right there.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, if they continue to not listen to you and push that boundary, you're faced with an action or faced with a decision. Do you sit there and take it, or do you stop it from happening? Which then means you could potentially be leaving.
Right.
I tell you what, everybody will remember the time that you left Thanksgiving because Aunt Karen was being an asshole to you, and wasn't, so then it becomes, well, is Aunt Karen welcome here at Thanksgiving anymore? Or is so-and-so the problem? And that's not necessarily the way we want to look at it, but maybe you're saying the things that other family members have been wanting to say too. And you just kind of started the pendulum, swinging, if you will.
Yep.
That's another way of looking at it too.
Yeah.
Okay. I also think that it's important to talk about like emotional hunger too. There's many types of hunger, right? Remember that emotional hunger, it is a thing. It's perfectly valid. You aren't a bad person for having emotional hunger. It's okay to feel that feeling. So this goes to the way we're eating them because of emotional hunger. So we want to tap into how we're feeling, either emotionally or in our body physically.
Yeah.
We want to be able to identify what hunger and fullness and satisfaction actually feel like. That takes the stress out of eating if you start to trust your body and acknowledge that.
Yeah, the holidays can be really emotional for a lot of people.
Right, exactly. So then, only you, Beth, or me gets to decide what satisfaction feels like. So that goes back to like me if I were getting a second plate because I'm still hungry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not satisfied yet. So that's not somebody else's, it's not up to them to decide what enough is, essentially, right?
Right.
So going back to like the diet talk too, then I think what the takeaway there should be, avoidance is the safest bet, but it's not always possible. So if we can't avoid it, we want to acknowledge, we want to change the subject. And what if they persist? Slap them. No, we don't need family.
Yeah,
we don't need a family brawl. Yeah. Tell them we love them and we would love to discuss it with them at a better time. Yeah. Now is not the time or the place, essentially, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't need to go in like super like a detail. I think people just need short answers and be done with it, The more you start to explain your why, the more it starts to get involved. So it's like simple, no, thank you, I'm good, and be done.
And you don't need to explain. No is no. Like you do not need to explain your answers.
Yeah.
If I ask a girl out and she says no, it's that. Like if she gives me no explanation, she doesn't need to tell me why. She just said no, and I need to respect that. It goes, it's the same thing for every other fucking situation in life.
Exactly.
No, you don't owe an explanation to anybody.
To nobody.
To nobody.
No motherfucking buddy.
But going back to what you said about it's the things that you do from January to November, right?
Yeah.
That's what matters. So some things that we can do year round, I was kind of thinking about this. We want to be more mindful of the food messages we are surrounded by every day. So we could take a look at like our social media feed, for instance. If we're following influencers or coaches that give a negative message about food, foods are good or bad or unhealthy or healthy or eat this, not that type of thing. Those are food messages and you might not realize it, but that's where you're developing your relationship with food from.
Yeah.
So we want to start by doing a social media detox. So unfollowing anybody, any coach, any person that gives off those food messages that we don't agree with or that are counterproductive to what we're trying to accomplish in building our healthy relationship with food.
Right. Yeah.
Social media is awful for that, as we know.
There's a lot of red flags that you need to look for.
What would be some other red flags that we should be looking out for?
People start talking about detoxes after the holidays. Anytime you're doing detox, you ever seen those? All right, have your holiday detox. It's like, okay.
Shed that holiday weight with this detox. Yeah, what a crock of shit.
Red flag. red flag.
Red flag. Huge red flag.
Oh my God, huge.
Guess what? They're going to have a nice little supplement or 4-week crash diet program to sell you, right?
Right.
Can almost guarantee it. We can almost guarantee it.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about, so I made the comment about the food swap thing really quickly. And I want to say food swaps aren't inherently bad, right? With most things aren't inherently bad. Food swaps, if done for the right reasons, can be good, So swap this for that. Are we doing it because we're afraid of these foods, or are we doing it because we truly think that swap makes the most sense for us and our goals? Like for me personally, one of my favorite food swaps is I'll swap Greek yogurt, plain Greek yogurt for sour cream, right? For me, that makes sense because I personally don't notice any difference in taste. And then I'm getting, instead of the fats content, I'm getting the protein. So that's going to help me accomplish my protein goals. And it gives me no guilt whatsoever because I'm not even noticing the difference anyway. So if you're doing the food swaps for the right reason, that's what's important. So we're not swapping fucking cauliflower rice
mashed potatoes for regular mashed potatoes.
Exactly, because carbs are bad. That's an example of a bad food swap.
Yeah. I actually
so those are things you can focus on year round. Did you?
I made some banana bread, right? So what I did was I swapped out the coconut oil for applesauce and made it with Kodiak cake pancake mix. So it was like 3 bananas, Kodiak cake pancake mix, applesauce, vanilla, 2 eggs, and almond milk. And literally, like each slice, it tasted exactly just like regular banana bread, but literally like 110 calories a slice. And for me, it's like I love the taste of banana bread, but sometimes it's really calorically dense and I want more of it. So it's not like it tasted like
there's nothing wrong with that. That's
asshole.
A good swap.
It was amazing. So yeah.
Nobody likes the taste of asshole. I mean, there's probably some people out there that do. Let's be real here, but that's.
I mean, I've made some banana bread that was
place.
I've made some fucking paleo banana bread before that was like almond flour and it was like a box of rocks. So that's not really substituting for me. That's more like I thought that whatever other ingredient was bad, so I had to make it this way.
So the reason behind the food swap is what can make the food swap good or bad.
Yeah, and that's why the cooking classes that I do, we teach because it's out of the gym that I used to coach at. And we take like home style meals and make them lower in calorie with like food swapping. So you can eat, this is about including foods you love while you're still losing weight, just a little bit lower in calorie, not as calorically dense.
Because those ingredients are bad or whatever. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
For sure. And speaking of, good ingredients, bad ingredients, so that some other things we can do around the year or year round is to focus on that talk that we have with food, right? So good food, bad food. We need to eliminate that, right? Like we need to work on eliminating that terminology. There are no good foods or bad foods. There's more calorically dense foods and less calorically dense foods. There's more nutritious foods, less nutritious foods, but all foods have their place, right? It depends on what your goals are, what moderation looks like for you. Moderation for me is different than what moderation looks like for you.
Yeah.
For me, it might be having 3 slices of pizza, where for you it might be having 2. What was that, Beth?
Also calling yourself good or bad. Like I was so good yesterday. Ooh. Oh, I was so bad yesterday. I need to be better or good today. It's like we have to stop calling ourselves like this. We're either good or bad as well. I hear that a lot. I wasn't good. I'll be better tomorrow. It's like, okay, what exactly does that mean? You weren't good. Like, are you going to get in trouble for something?
So like we could reframe that too. So instead of saying like, oh my gosh, I was so bad today, really what you could say instead is like, I tried my best today and that's okay. Or I did everything that I could today and that's okay. I wasn't bad because I didn't do the things that I needed to do or because I had more food than I anticipated. It's okay. What matters is you did your best that you could with the given circumstances. Was it good or bad?
Exactly.
Just like with food, eating one salad doesn't make you healthy and eating one pizza doesn't make you unhealthy. So the good or bad thing doesn't exist either. That goes back to what you said at the beginning of the podcast with that all or nothing approach then too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then what we can't eat, right? When we can't eat, those are things we should be focusing on throughout the year as well. So those are food rules, right? What we can and cannot eat, when we can and cannot eat. If somebody tells you you can only eat between 12 and 8, that's a food rule that's counterproductive. So we need to eliminate food rules. So for a lot of people, food rules are carbs make me fat. I can't have carbs, or I can't eat after 8 p.m. because that'll make me fat. So when you're eating or what you're eating, those are food rules.
Yeah. God, I hear, I used to do that too. I don't know about you, but like I'm just getting flashbacks of like old, like Thanksgivings and like, oh, I can't have that right now. Or I'm just not eating, just that like fear of like, oh my God, what am I going to be able to have at the Thanksgiving dinner? Like if my father-in-law was putting too much butter in the mashed potatoes, I'd be like, oh God, I can't eat those. It's crazy. It just like all the diet talk around a Thanksgiving dinner table, like it's insane, actually, when you think about it.
It really is. It really is. And I just thought of something that popped up too. There may be people that will have the argument that, well, I can't eat whatever I want on Thanksgiving Day because that's going to have a spiral effect. That's trigger me to do more. And what I would say to that is, well, let's look at that relationship. Why is that happening, right? So what's probably happening then is they don't have a good relationship with food. They're stuck in that classic restrict and binge mindset, right?
Restrict, yeah.
So what they're going to do is they'll binge on that Thanksgiving Day and then leading up, or the week after, and then they'll go on this heavy restriction. When then comes Christmas, they're going to go fucking overboard for a week straight because they're in that classic binge and restrict mode, which that's proven time and time again that restriction leads to binging. So to fix that, everything we've been talking about, eliminating the food rules and just be a more fucking mindful eater, like. Be in tune with our body. Honor our body's hunger cues. When you're hungry, eat.
Mind.
When you're not hungry, don't eat. And your mind. Yeah, your mind, for sure. That's big part of it. Big part of it.
Your mind, like you're saying, like your emotional hunger cues. Are you emotionally hungry? Or are you physically hungry? Like how would you tell the difference, Matt? Like explain to someone, are you emotionally hungry or are you physically hungry right now?
Ooh, that's a good question. So for physical hunger, that's got that physical, like, I feel nauseous or I have a lot of, like, for me, if I don't eat and I get hungry, I get a lot of fucking anxiety. So that's one thing right away. Like, why am I feeling so much anxiety right now? It almost feels like, in a way, for me, like this is how the anxiety hits me. I feel like I could throw up essentially because there's so much anxiety hitting me in that moment. I'm like, I need to eat. This is my body's way of telling me that I need to eat.
Yeah.
And I normally feel better after that. But emotional hunger is you're turning to food as a coping mechanism, right? So Aunt Karen just made a disparaging comment on me. I really want to eat my feelings with these, dozen cookies or things like that. So stressors and comfort foods and things like that, those are all forms of emotional eating. And maybe I haven't done a good job of kind of explaining that, but physical hunger is a feeling. It's within your body. It's not up here. It's not like you're obsessed with this food, the idea of eating this food, you need to have it now because of the environment that you're in. So usually what I'll have people do is like to help them understand if it's physical or emotional hunger is write the feeling down, right? You can just jot it into your phone. So like, what am I craving? What do I want to eat? How much of it do I want to eat? What are my surroundings? Who am I with? What am I doing? What's my mental state? What's my emotional state? Then that will help you pinpoint it. So then also what I would do is rate your perceived hunger on a scale of 1 to 10. But then here's the key part. You eat. You allow yourself to have that food. And then you do that same check-in after. So then you jot the same feelings down after you eat. And that'll help you understand whether it was truly an emotional event or a physical hunger. That's kind of one way that I look at it.
Also, if you just had a full meal, think to yourself, okay, do I really need more? Would I eat an apple right now? If you're not going to want an apple, then you're probably not hungry or, whatever. It's just, you have to really think, it takes awareness. So you almost have to be seated, really pause. Okay. Am I really hungry right now? I just had food. Let me sit here and, or what's going on here? What happened today? What situation, is it from the situation that just happened with Aunt Karen that I just want to pile drive some fucking pumpkin pie, like all of it? Or
for sure. And really, how many hunger types is there? I think there's 8 or 9 different hunger types, but there's 4 main ones, right? So there's physical hunger. Like you just mentioned, you're satisfied after eating. But then we have our emotional and mental hunger. eating for emotional reasons and using food as that coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Then we have practical hunger. This is one that that kind of gets overlooked too. You're eating at a convenient time because you know that you'll be hungry later, but you won't necessarily have access to food later. So what that could look like is like I like hiking. So I'm not hungry in the morning when I go to start my hike, but I know I'm going to be hiking for 6 to 8 hours. So I need to have a good sturdy meal in me in order to allow me to feel good while I'm hiking, or even having snacks while I'm on the trail to keep my energy levels up, things like that. Then we have, this will be very popular right now for the holidays, is the mouth feel, the mouth and taste hunger, craving that specific food and flavor, which will then be satisfied hopefully by giving into that craving. So that's 4 main types of hunger. Then there's also smell, I believe, is one, like you just walk by, like you smell pumpkin pie and now you want pumpkin pie. That is a type of hunger as well. Learning more about the types of hunger then I would recommend is key then for year-round practices. Do you have anything to add to that? I think ultimately, like, we just need to understand that right now isn't the time for us to be worried about our waistline. There's so many other things going on and so many other things for us to truly appreciate. Spending time with our family. We've been talking about the negatives, but our families are amazing. Hopefully you feel the same way about your families and everything like that. We're there to spend time with them and to cherish those memories, build memories, relive old memories. We're not there to beat ourselves up. We're not there to feel guilty.
I think that's the key, is we just want you guys to realize that it's okay to enjoy yourself on Thanksgiving. Like you're not going to ruin all your progress. No need to be sitting at the table fearing eating anything, and no feeling guilty. Like, what does that do? That does nothing.
Yeah.
Move on.
So those feelings of guilt then too, that stems from everything we've pretty much talked about, right? You get those feelings of guilt because you have those food rules, because you're practicing those restrictions, because you're saying good foods, bad foods. When you label food as bad and then you eat that food, you're a bad person and now you're guilty. So it's all about having that healthy relationship with food. It truly is.
Really
and it all starts
it
up
really
here.
is. Once you have that, it's truly life-changing.
It is. Then you have that freedom. You got that food freedom and that permission, giving yourself that fucking permission, like very convincing permission. Like nothing else is going to stop you. Nobody else can take that right away from you, and to be happy and to enjoy the foods that you love, essentially.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know about you, but I don't have any other Thanksgivings planned, but maybe I already lived it. So I'm speaking from personal experience right now this year. It's very fresh in my memory, but I don't know. What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
I'm going to my father-in-law's, my husband's dad's, and then going to my his mom's, which is a separate house after that, for pie. So I'm having nice. 2 Thanksgivings in one day.
I used to do that growing up. I loved it growing up as a kid because I got to eat all the food and I would always play video games and Nerf guns and stuff with my cousins. As an adult, having 2 Thanksgivings in one day is kind of a pain in the ass, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially after you eat all that food at the first one. Yeah.
I don't really want pie after that.
Right.
I mean, I might take it to go. Who knows? I'll eat it, but I don't eat when I'm stuffed anymore. It's like one of those things I used to do that I don't like the feeling of being overly stuffed. And the fact that I used to feel like that all the time. It's like, interesting.
Yeah. Eating yourself to discomfort and gorging yourself just because you could, or because it's there.
Right.
And what you were doing is you weren't honoring your own body. You weren't honoring your body's hunger cues. Yeah. Using it as a crutch.
Yeah.
Did you suffer from that after you had quit drinking, like around the holidays, or
no?
Or did those go hand in hand? Like
I think it went hand in hand. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Amazing. I don't know.
Amazing.
I think this is a good one. I hope that it finds people in time for the holidays. This isn't just eating around Thanksgiving. It's eating around the holidays, whatever your holiday might be.
Yeah.
An old tagline of mine that I used to use, we can close with, is just, and you can use your own for eat the fucking fruit. But like for me, it's eat the damn Twinkie. Like honestly, just fucking eat it. It's not going to kill you. It's not the end of the world. Let's start there. Eat it. Did you die? No. Okay, cool. We're good.
Eat the fucking mashed potatoes. Don't eat the fucking cauliflower mash, okay?
Yes.
Only if you really love it, which I doubt, but maybe you do.
I like that. Stay away from it unless you actually enjoy it. Yes, I like that.
You know, if you really fucking love it, go for it. I don't know.
Boom.
Have fun.
Boom.
Boom. Boom.
Boom.
Yes. Boom. All right, guys.
All right, Beth and everybody, have an amazing holiday, Thanksgiving. Be safe.
Yes.
Hope you enjoyed this episode, so why not share with a friend who needs to hear it? Send us a DM on Instagram or email us at cutthecrappod@gmail.com and join our Patreon at patreon.com/cutthecrappodcast. As always, we appreciate you and thanks for being here.